If I had businesses fail, of course. Will I have more? Of course. But I'm going to win. And my wins are going to outweigh all my losses. And especially in today's world where it's like, yeah, you could sell a company you could fail 93 times and then sell one company for $100 million and you're the most successful person anyone of your friends knows. But you failed 93 times first. Most people fail once or twice and they quit and that's it. You failed 93 times. Your percentage is so much worse than theirs, but you made $100 million, so who cares?
Welcome back to the Nichols and Dimes Show, everybody. I'm your host, Chris Nichols. Today, our guest is Jeff Fenster, CEO and founder of Everbowl, which is a quick-serve superfoods restaurant franchise with nearly 100 restaurants around the United States. But Jeff has also founded many other businesses in his career and an award-winning entrepreneur. He's a podcast host of The Jeff Fenster Show. He's a best-selling author and an expert in a key topic we talk about on the show, building relationship capital. I mean, Jeff has one of the most incredible networks I've ever seen. So we talk about how he developed business partnerships and friendships with people like Drew Brees, Jayson Tatum, Shaquille O'Neal, Gary Vaynerchuk, and many more. But in this conversation, I really pick his brain on his business knowledge from the huge range of ventures he's pursued, ranging from a payroll and HR company, construction, digital marketing, investing services, and then, of course, the restaurant business. With how much Jeff has built and all the experience he's had, I was really interested in learning about how he learned to scale and how do you go from one industry into a new one. We also talk about different marketing strategies and channels for franchises, how he leverages vertical integration in his businesses, and how he prioritizes his time. It was an absolute treat for me to be able to talk to Jeff in his amazing studio in Carlsbad at the Everbowl headquarters and to be able to share this awesome experience with all of you. Please subscribe to the Nichols and Dimes Show on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And now enjoy the episode with Jeff Fenster.
Jeff Fenster, how you doing?
Very good, man. Thank you for having me on your show.
Man, thank you for having me. This studio is incredible.
I appreciate it, but more thank you for coming.
Man, it's an easy trip coming just from a different part of San Diego. And this is where you're based. This is the Everbowl headquarters,
yes.
Corporate headquarters here in Carlsbad.
Correct, yes.
And so you have the Everbowl operation basically being based out of here, and then you have the studio for your show, right? The Jeff Fenster Show?
It's for my show, plus all of our franchisees at Everbowl, the content for Everbowl, content for WeBuild, content for clients of ours, friends of ours. It's a nice pull to bring the people you want. Why do a lot of people start shows? Why are you always hear hosts?
Yeah.
Why do you have a podcast? Because it's great to build relationships and network and get in front of the people you want to build those relationships with. And some people have travel too. Some do all virtual and Zoom. And I wanted everyone to come to me, not because I travel 130 nights a year, so I'm always on the road, but I want to bring them into my infrastructure. I want them to see Everbowl. I want them to see WeBuild. I want them to meet the team.
Yeah.
And I wanted to build out a really cool studio to make it worth their time and then give them the privilege of saying, hey, if you ever want to use it for yourself, feel free. And so it brings really cool humans into the office and keeps a good energy, a vibe going.
Yeah.
So,
well, what an amazing asset to have, to be able to offer. And that really ties into what I've noticed is one of the biggest parts of your message, which I'm definitely going to get into for a good portion of this podcast, which is about building relationship capital, right? You've written books about it. This is your network is absolutely incredible with some of the people you've had on the show. I mean, I just saw you've had people like Drew Brees or Gary Vaynerchuk or Tulsi Gabbard I saw was recently. You've got people partnered for Everbowl, Jayson Tatum, other massive athletes, Shaq. There's so much to dig into here. And I'm going to take your own advice about getting the show started by not walking through your entire life story. Because anyone who Googles you will understand what I mean. You've started numerous different companies. And I was looking at your LinkedIn, so I'm going off of that as far as some of the chronological order of what you've done.
Sure.
But I guess I just want to start with like a value question that stood out to me the most when I look at the entire picture of your career, which is, when did you learn to become such an expert at scaling? Was there one point that you can point to early in your entrepreneurial career where you learned to be able to let go of control and to delegate? Can you talk about that?
I don't know if I would say you're letting go of control and always delegating, but scale. I learned scale was so important early because my first company I started right at the Great Recession. And I was struggling financially. It's hard to raise money. It's hard to survive. A lot of startups fail. Business owners struggle with not enough resources to accomplish what they need. They have either too much work and not enough resources, or not enough work, and they can't get resources, right? So you're always caught in this this period of time, this desert zone where you're in between. I call it the teenage years, where you're either too small to be big or too big to be small. And some days you look like an adult and some days you sound like a kid. You don't have the experience of an adult and the wisdom, but you also don't get to look like a little baby where everyone's going to be like, oh, it's cute, don't worry about it. Like, you're accountable. So that's where most businesses fail. And so how do you quickly get out of that phase? And scale always solves those problems, because if you scale, you quickly build up the revenue, you attract customers, you attract investors, you attract employees, you attract opportunities, you put your business above that phase fast. And so when I realized I got to get out of this quick, it was, okay, start a business, figure out your value proposition, figure out your mousetrap, figure out your MVP, your minimum viable product or your minimum service. What is out there? What problems are you solving in the world and why? And how are you going to do it? And once you figure out how to do it, then what is stopping you from getting to scale to where now you have the resources to provide world-class service, to provide a world-class product, to be that world-class company that you really want to be? And once you figure out what that delta is, however, if it's retail, how many stores, if it's a SaaS-based product, how many customers, paying how much monthly, if it's, a physical, tangible product, how many do you have to manufacture to where you get the price low enough to where you have a margin so you can put it in retail? I mean, there's always an excuse and a reason to why you can't do it. And it's usually because you haven't scaled yet. And if you ever watch a Shark Tank or any of those shows that are very popular, you're going to see that is the same problem that is universal regardless of industry. And so I came to the conclusion that I got to figure out scale and I got to figure it out fast. And so then it was like, okay, I'm a simple guy. I use a formula. So I was like, where do I want to be? At what point am I past that? Where am I at? And what's it going to take to get there? And then put my blinders on and run like Secretariat and let's get it done.
So basically working backwards, looking at this equation. Could you be more specific about what that looks like?
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
say, you start off by saying, hey, in 5 years, I want my life to look like this. Does that include, hey, I want this many employees in this company, I want this range of revenue? And then how do you work back from there more tangibly?
Yeah, I mean, it's not 5 years. That's way too long. It's usually 3 months, 6 months. I mean, think about January 1st, 2020, and 4 months later, COVID, right? And nobody even knew what COVID was on January 1st.
Yeah.
So you can't give yourself that long. I mean, you can have a goal. You can have an ambition. Yeah, in 5 years, I hope to have 2,000 Everbowls around the country and everybody knows the name. Sure. But what am I doing the next 90 days?
Yeah.
Right? And so, yes, of course I work backwards because success leaves clues. Unless you're curing cancer or launching rockets to land on Mars, I mean, anything most people are doing has been done in some form or fashion successfully by somebody else. So there's a way to reverse engineer what they did and how they got there. And so, I mean, it depends, to give you a tangible example, it's really going to be specific to the set of circumstances. So if I use Everbowl, I opened my first one in October of 2016. I knew nothing about what I was doing. I had never opened a restaurant. I had no restaurant experience. I'm not a chef, like none of it. Okay. But I said, okay, I need to open a lot of these because I'm building a brand and I want to attract all these things. I didn't yet have a formula. The first 4 months, I never left the business. I worked 7 days a week, open to close, and I didn't need to. I was already, wealthy, semi-retired beforehand. Like, it was to learn the business. When I was learning the business, I started to understand what prime costs mean and food costs and labor distribution and how to handle my scheduling and vendors and customers and marketing and what goes into this restaurant stuff. And then I said, okay, I need to hire a manager. The manager's going to cost me this. Well, I can't afford that. How many stores does it take for me to afford a manager? 4. Okay. On February of 2017, I signed my second lease, and I opened in May of 2017. And the day I opened my doors in May, I signed 2 more leases. And 1 year after opening my first store, I had 4, because I knew it needed 4 to get the person I needed to run the day-to-day so I could then run the business. Because if I'm in the store every day, the business is never going anywhere. So I'm just going to be this restaurant that's really cool but can't grow. So my first set of scale was 4. And I came to that conclusion because I knew what I had to generate so I could afford the person who can put in place to get me to that phase. Then the next one was, okay, I have 4, but now I really want to grow this thing. So I started to look at all the bigger companies than me, and I was like, well, I got to get into different cities because just being in San Diego isn't going to take me to the next level.
Right.
But I don't have the resources or capabilities to do that today. So I started to understand, okay, at what size can I realistically do that with being able to buy enough product, have distribution figured out, have all the marketing figured out, have the budgets to accomplish this. And so then it was like, well, I need 17. So then I said, okay, how am I going to get from 4 to 17? And I reverse engineered what was going to be required, what resources by human capital, what people did I need on my team, what technology if I needed to acquire or invest in or get. And infrastructure of an office. Do I need one? A commissary kitchen? Do I need that? Do I need to get with a Cisco, a national distributor? Do I need to start buying in bulk? Like I started to ask myself all the questions and said, okay, I'm at 4, but I need to be at 17. So I picked 17. So in 2007, between October of 16 and October of 17, I opened 4. From October of 17 till January 1st of 2019, so in the next 15 months, I opened 14 more boxes. And I got to 18 stores. So I didn't do it where it's like I had this goal of, yes, I want to be in 2,000, sure, but good luck. I don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it in micro scopes, like micro bites. Like, what am I going to do now? And I build the plan to do that. And then once I got to 18, I'm like, well, now I want to go bigger. And the plan here was 50. I'm like, okay, so I want to be in multiple states. So I signed one in Arizona, and I got one in San Francisco, and I started to regionally expand. And I partnered with a private equity firm that had experience here because they could help me. And we started to say, okay, what operationally will I need from a CFO and finance department and a marketing department? And now you get into all this other stuff, right? I had these other companies on the side, but just with Everbowl. And that's kind of how I did it. So scale became very specific to the goals of what I knew was in front of me. And I just laser focus on it. And I didn't deal with all the other shit. Like I just didn't. And too often I have a butterfly syndrome like every other entrepreneur, right? Oh, that's cool, let's try that. But everything I do was to answer one of my 4 problems I was solving at Everbowl, right? Affordability, taste, accessibility, and price, and scale. And scale. And too many businesses don't scale, or they scale way too fast without a plan.
Yeah.
They just open for the sake of opening. Like, I got to scale, so I'm going to do as fast as I can. Well, what are you doing though? You know, you could sprint in the wrong direction. Great, you're running really fast. And you can run in place all day and go nowhere. So make sure you have a location as to where you want to be and run like hell to get there. And that's that missing piece is the planning, right? Because I meet with a lot of entrepreneurs that want me to invest in their company. Like, oh yeah, we're going to open 20 of these next year. Okay, why 20? Like, how did you come up with the number?
Yeah.
I said 17 and 4 because that's what I needed to accomplish that next level.
Okay, that was going to be my next question was how did you come up with that number? Was it based off what you...
Profit.
The results you found in the first 4?
The first one. I was like, well, I'm making this. I can't assume that they're all going to do this, right? So I had to be conservative. So I said, okay, if they do 50% of this, how many more of these will I need to make sure that I'm paying everything I need to pay and have money to continue to invest in the business? And I got to 4. I said, okay, at 4 stores, I can hire this human. That was the goal. I needed that human. So that was that one. And then at 17, it was because at 17, I was going to have enough power with my distributors to command them to allow me to scale outside geographically, where they will allow me into the DC or distribution center in another state. Cisco is who we use for distribution. If I have 3 stores or 5 stores in San Diego and I say, I'm going to open one in Texas, they're going to be like, yeah, we're not going to hold your product in Texas. Why? You don't have enough stores. So at 17, I had enough power inside of their organization because I asked them the question, how many do I need before you will support my growth outside of California? And they said, based on how much you're buying, it's a math equation, based on how much we make per drop, which again, this goes to their business model. But I asked the question, they were able to tell me, if you have 17 stores performing like what you have now, we will support you to do that and we'll put you in the next distribution center and bet on the fact that you can grow another market. Okay. Have it in writing. That's my goal. 17. It's not 18, it's not 16, it's 17. Right? And so it's just math. It's just a formula. It's simple, but it's complicated. Because we get excited, and as entrepreneurs, we don't get down to the nitty-gritty of the details. The minutiae is in the details, right? We are focused on things that don't move the needle and big words. Oh, 20 stores. They didn't need 20, they need 17. 15 stores. They didn't need 15, they needed 17. Here's a number, and it's math for them. And if you look at all successful companies, they know their numbers. They know their SOPs, they know the minutia, they understand that if I do this, it equals this. 2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah.
What's your formula and what are you trying to accomplish? And most people don't know. They just want to be successful. Well, that's very ambiguous. What does that mean? Like specifically, what do you want? And if you can define it, then you can formulate a plan to get it. And if it doesn't work, you change the formula, but you don't change the goal and the direction. I want to win the Super Bowl in the NFL. Great. How are you going to do it? Well, I'm going to play really good football. Okay, that's not a plan.
Yeah.
That's a hope.
It's like hope is not a strategy, right?
Yeah, hope is not. And a bad strategy and a bad plan is better than no plan. And you got to remember that because you learn something from the bad plan. You don't learn something from hope.
Yeah.
That's the other challenge. So you're wasting time because you're not even getting a lesson, right? Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. You're not even learning. You're just doing nothing.
Great way to look at it. Haven't thought of it that way. We've heard hope is not a strategy so many times, but But to tell yourself you won't even learn something from hope if it doesn't work.
I hope I get good grades, but I'm not going to study.
Yeah.
Well, do I know how to study? And was the class hard, or did I just show up and hope, right?
Yeah.
I could study the wrong thing and fail. Okay, that's not how you study. So the next time I'm going to be better. I fell off my bike 3 times. I learned how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
So you got to go through the lessons to get the competency and then to get the mastery. And you got to be a master in your craft. You're competing against people who will be a master in their craft.
Yeah.
Yes, you can beat 75% of the world by just showing up. But now you're playing the game. And in business, this is money. And you know where dedicated, focused, hard, relentless, driven humans go? Money. Right? Anything that pays a lot of money, you're going to get the best of the best because there's a lot of money in it. So if you want to compete in business and entrepreneurship, you've got to be willing to roll your sleeves up and get into it. Yeah. And if you don't have the raw character traits, the personality traits, the discipline, the mindset, if you're not there, you're going to go through some lessons. And if you're not aware of those lessons and you don't realize what you're missing, it's not that you don't have the aptitude or it's not cut out for you. It's just you haven't created the human that is capable of achieving what you want to achieve.
Yeah, a lot of what you just said, especially stepping back a little bit to the formula stuff you're talking about, it goes into something I've heard you say a lot in your content, which is around systems. And I want to understand what your definition is for that. You might have already answered that to a certain degree, but that, and then just, something else that you mentioned as well, as far as the founding story for Everbowl, was how most people who start restaurants are chefs, right? And you're a business guy. You've had background from HR payroll companies to equity or investing services or digital marketing, right? Construction, and then restaurants. And you kind of got into the restaurant line of work out of nowhere, right? It's a tough business. Everyone knows that, especially we're talking quick serve.
Sure.
So what was your philosophy of going this direction without this experience, but by seeing yourself having an advantage as a business person rather than a chef?
Well, the reason chefs struggle is because their passion is food. Their expertise is food. They're going to lean into that, and raw talent is a blessing and a curse. And when you're young and you're competing against novices, it's a huge advantage and blessing. Over time, it becomes a curse. And I'll explain. I was a short, small guy playing sports. Some of my friends were early developed. They hit puberty earlier, so they were 5'8" when the rest of us were 5 feet. They might still be 5'8" today, which is average height, but they were 5'8" when we were 11, right? So they dominated in basketball. They dominated in football because they were closer to being a man and we were boys. They had a physical body that allowed them to perform, and they were more athletic than all of us because they were early into development. That's a blessing at that age. Why is it a curse? Because if they don't match that same advantage with the work ethic required to work their ass off and develop all the skills to compete, the fundamentals, they don't need fundamentals because they're bigger than me. They don't need to learn how to dribble between their legs and shoot a 3 because they can just run me over and lay it up. And I can't stop them because I'm hitting them in the chest, right? But then we all caught up, and now I'm 5'9", average height. So if you're 5'8" and I'm 5'9", now we're the same height. But guess what? Those first elementary years, I was working on my ball skills, my handles, my footwork, my shooting, because I needed them to compete. You just got to leverage your early size. That's an advantage. If you don't match it with the work ethic, now it's a curse, because while I was learning the game, and now we're in high school, now we're grown-ups, well, you don't have skills. You're just a body and you're no longer big. Yeah. So guess what? You have nothing in that game, in that example. That's true with intelligence. If you're so smart that school's so easy for you, that you never learn how to study, you never learn how to work really hard because it doesn't come easy to you, it comes so simple. And when you get into the real world and now you're competing with me and it's time to put in 20-hour days, 55 days in a row, you've never done that. I've done that my whole life. That's just another week for me. So it's an advantage for me now. It was a curse for me at the beginning. And so that's what's the problem with the chef, is they go into this industry thinking, I'm great at being a chef. I can make incredible food. That's true. But you don't know business. And you've never learned business. And you don't have time to learn business when you have bills. And you're working 20 hours a day creating this incredible masterpiece and art of food. It might be the best food in the world. We all know those restaurants. Anywhere you grow up, you've known incredibly delicious restaurants that go out of business. Yeah. Because they can't afford to handle their food costs. their rent, their insurance, their marketing, the money dries up because they don't understand that side of it. And they didn't have to, or they never focused on it because they thought that being a chef is okay to own a business. It's a different skill set. Business ownership is ambiguous to the industry. The similarities are so close between every business out there, whether you're restaurant or construction or dental office or payroll and HR company or a SaaS-based industry or podcast. You know how many podcasts stop because they run out of money or they don't have money? All the time. Because it is a business. It's not a show. Again, that's just the mousetrap. That's just what we're doing, but the business is the same.
Yeah.
And I know how to do business because that's what I work on with my craft. That's where I spend my effort to learn business, to get better, to work my ass off to accomplish it. So I was novice early, then I became competent, and now I believe I'm somewhere closer to that mastery phase in what I do. I have so much more to learn, and there's so many people more advanced than me. But guess what? I'm never going to stop working my ass off to do that. So it's not a matter of if I become mastery at it. It's a matter of when I become mastery at it. It's not a matter of if I'm successful. It's a matter of when. If I had businesses fail, of course. Will I have more? Of course. But I'm going to win. And my wins are going to outweigh all my losses. And especially in today's world where it's like, yeah, you could sell a company you could fail 93 times and then sell one company for 100 million and you're the most successful person anyone of your friends knows. But you failed 93 times first. Most people fail once or twice and they quit and that's it. You failed 93 times. Your percentage is so much worse than theirs, but you made $100 million, so who cares, right? So if that's your goal of money, then there it is, right? And so I talk about formulas and I talk about chefs and because it doesn't matter what we do. Like if you and me came up with a new business today here, we're going to sell a widget or we're going to create a widget or we're going to do, a consulting service. Okay. I can have access. You have a computer right here. I have a computer in my pocket called an iPhone. Like I can ask it any questions I want. We have AI now, which is even crazier. But I mean, this isn't 1993 where we had to go to Encyclopedia Britannica and ask neighbors and friends for information, and that was all you had access to. And if you didn't have people in your small town who had the knowledge, you were stuck. That's not today. Someone in a small rural village in Alaska has access to every bit of information you do. They can learn how to code. They can learn how to be a doctor. They can learn how to be a chef. They can learn how to do a podcast. Airplanes go all over the world. So we're not limited anymore. The world is small and information is abundant. Are you learning? Are you taking the time to understand what you need to do? Are you reverse engineering what the successful players in your respective space are doing? Are you listening to what public companies are talking about in your specific sector and hearing those calls and then asking the questions and then going into forums and reading and posing questions? How are you reading books and listening to podcasts? Or are you just saying, well, I try really hard and I make really good food and I show up at 5 a.m. and I don't go home till 11 o'clock at night? Well, you're running in place. You're active, you're not productive. And we're confusing activity and productivity because they are two different things. And you might say, well, I work twice as hard as you, Jeff. Maybe you do. But you're not going anywhere. And I'm putting my activity is turned into productivity and you're just being active and tired and frustrated and stressed. So you got to be productive. And that's on your side of the equation. Same in everything. And so you got to start and step back and say, okay, how can I be successful? Well, success always leaves clues. And the coolest thing about it is it's available to you and to me and to everybody else.
Yeah.
There's no secrets. Everything is there for me. I mean, I could literally learn how to be a nuclear physicist. I might not have a degree, but if I had a scientific mind, I could read white papers and literature and books, and all the books that you would learn in Harvard are available online too. I could take the class without taking the class. Can't afford to go to college. We'll still get the information. Yeah. Do you think that when you get to a certain point, anyone cares if you have the degree? No. Go learn how to code. I don't care if you went to college or not. Gates dropped out of college. Zuckerberg dropped out of college. Okay. There you go. Who cares?
Man, a lot of what you said, just it kind of leans on the experience you've had with starting so many different companies. And so it makes me wonder what would have been different if you had started Everbowl 10 years prior, for example, after, you've started, I don't know, over 10, 15 companies, right?
Sure.
And, you're talking about the wealth of information and knowledge that we have available to us on the internet, AI, whatever, by seeing other people who have been successful. And this is something that Andy Frisella talks about a lot, which I really appreciate, is, look, we can learn so much faster because of what's available. This is basically what you're saying, right? And we can distribute so much faster because of the internet, right? But do you know what, I mean, maybe it just wouldn't even be an answer. Maybe there's just no way how you would have started an Everbowl 10 years earlier.
I would have started it 50 years earlier and I still would be successful because I'm not going to let my circumstances dictate my success. I'm going to knock doors, ask questions, and go everywhere I can. There are restaurant groups and communities, and you could look in the classified papers if you remember. For those too young, we used to get newspapers when I was a kid, classified groups, and you'd go to the classifieds, and there would be community meetings, and it would be the San Diego Restaurant Association Saturday meetup once a month, and they would meet at Denny's or IHOP, one of those restaurants that used to be popular for meetups, and you'd show up, and there'd be 18 people there. Well, I would show up. I would learn. I'd ask questions. I'd get into the business. I'd ask all my friends. I would knock on doors. I'd go to my restaurants that I'm a frequent customer of and say, can I speak to the manager? Hey, I'm starting my own restaurant, completely different industry. Can I buy you lunch and ask you some questions? I'll pay for the knowledge. I'm going to get the knowledge. You are not going to see me be the victim of circumstance. So if I don't have the internet, I'm still going to get, I started a payroll and HR company before the internet was really prevalent.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew nothing about that. And I made mistakes, big ones, but I learned from them. You know, I always tell my kids this, mistakes are fine. Make a mistake, make it once. Making it twice is a choice. I'm not going to choose to fail. I may fail or fall down, but I'm not doing it twice. Why did I fail? Why did I fall down? Oh, well, you did that because you were too focused on the food, if I'm a chef. So my next go, I need to learn the business. I don't know anything about business, so what can I do? Is there a library? No internet? There's a library? Sure. There's books on restaurants. I mean, restaurants aren't new, right? It's not AI where in 1963 there wasn't AI. Sure, but there were restaurants. Okay, go talk to every restaurant in your city. 90% of them are going to tell you to get out. Fine, but the 10% that don't, congratulations. Get a night job at two of the better ones that are similar to you, not in the same, not your competitor, because I think that that's unethical, but if I'm in a quick serve restaurant or a full service dining or whatever, get a job. I'll wait tables. I want to learn. I want to start my own. There's so many ways to learn. It's just there's excuses and there's action, right? And I've never been successful with excuses. I think the biggest blessing curse of my life was that I was a very late bloomer and very tiny as a kid with a very competitive desire to be a successful sports athlete. And the only way I could compete, I was really fast but really little. The only way I could compete was to outwork everybody. So I built a no quit attitude and a no quit work ethic very young. So it's just what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And now that I'm at my age that I'm at and I have the knowledge and I have the experience and I'm getting more mastery and I'm not hindered by that, I get to match my work ethic with my knowledge and I can perform better. So is Everbowl better today than it would have been 20 years ago? Of course. I'm more experienced today. And in 20 years, if I did it again, it should be better than this time because I'll be more experienced. But I'm an average guy. So I have no special skill that anyone listening to this doesn't have, right? I am not that intelligent. I am not that special. I don't claim to be. I just have a formula and I follow it. What I do have that most don't is I don't quit and I work really hard and I don't put up with less than my best. Where I won't go to sleep knowing I did a half-assed job. And if I do, it's going to happen today. It's not happening again tomorrow, right? It's just not. And I'll put in the extra effort and I'll do the little things. And I'll go the extra mile again and again and again. And I won't be a victim. And all the things that really are self-limiting, those self-limiting behaviors, those self-limiting mind thoughts that we get, that's what's stopping everybody. And if everybody did what I did, guess what? I'd be average. I would.
Yeah.
Because there are people with more intelligence than me. There are people with more aptitude than me. There are people with better skills than me. That's okay. Like I said, I can beat most people because they don't do it. But I'm at a point where it's like, I'm not scared if everyone does because let's be real, right? Not everyone's going to do it. And I don't live in a scarcity mindset of the world. I believe that it's a world of abundance, that if everybody works really hard, I'll find my edge. I have enough self-confidence. I've done it my whole life. I've competed with, I played football in high school, Kellen Winslow, who obviously is now in prison, but, I used to joke and say, well, a lot of guys are like, the scouts never saw me. Well, I had, the biggest scouts in America coming to my practices and games because they were there to see Kellen. They saw me. They weren't impressed, right? But I still worked my ass off. I still tried, and I'll do it again. And I don't care about the outcome. I care about the process.
Yeah.
And I fall in love with that process because I know it's a matter of when, not if. I don't get discouraged. I don't have too much pity parties. They're quick and short. I move on. And so it's just like These are all obtainable things. Everything I'm saying right now, anybody listening can make the decision that this is who they're going to be starting now. You don't need to go to a 4-year college degree. You don't need to go wait 20 years to no, today, right now, if I can leave them with one thing, it's like make the decision that today's the day that your life changes, that you're going to hold yourself accountable. Not till it's done, practice till it's perfect. No, practice till it's permanent. Do it until you are so goddamn good at it that you can do it in your sleep. And accept that you're going to suck at the beginning and keep going. And who cares? And every day I just get better and better.
Yeah.
And in another year I'll be better. And another year I'll be better. And I'm going to try my best. And you're going to beat me and he or she's going to beat me. Fine. I'm going to come back tomorrow like water. Never going to quit. That's scary for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to beat someone who doesn't quit. It really is. So that's the strategy.
Man, I mean, a lot of what you just said is such a valuable message because you're helping people think and focus on the controllables, right? There doesn't, take the focus off what you can't control and then what you can. Make that decision today. Put in this type of work ethic, this relentless effort to continuously learn. And then typically that's learning from other people, right? And so this is where I want to transition into one of your best skills.
Yep.
You talk about being an average guy. Well, this is certainly something you're not average at. You're one of the best in the world at it, apparently. But building relationship capital.
Sure.
You've written books about it. You talk about it on stage a lot in your podcast. Like I mentioned earlier, the network you have is pretty unbelievable. But, there was a story related to this that I heard you share about Shaq.
Yep.
And you had met Shaq, and there was some interest with him participating in the franchise, right, in Everbowl.
Yep.
It didn't work out for some reason. And he was working on Big Chicken.
Well, he's got a team, and he wanted to, but the whole team wasn't in.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Shaquille sold half his brand to Authentic Brands, which owns, part of the Shaq name, and there's a lot of people who make decisions on what Shaq can and can't participate in, and it's a collective decision. Obviously, if he really wanted to, I'm sure he could, but it's a collective decision professionally. So,
yeah.
Yes, it didn't work out.
Right. But the way you reacted to that is what I want to focus on.
Yep.
Because that's devastating. That could be a huge opportunity that fell through the cracks for anyone, right, with his name.
18 months of work, too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just of negotiating?
Phone calls, Zooms, conversations, sending product, answering more questions, due diligence, effort, energy, focus, attention. Yeah, 18 months.
Time.
Yeah, all of it.
Wow. But so your reaction when you got that news was, hey, sorry, it didn't work out. Let me know if I can do anything to help.
Yep.
I mean, I think that's so important for people to wrap their head around that, to be able to have that reaction, to cherish a relationship that you think maybe is lost even, or if the opportunity is gone. But if you can come with that type of attitude, if you can respond with that, I don't know if you call it a mindset or just hold that mindset of...
It's a formula.
Yeah, it's a formula.
It's math again.
Okay, yeah, so please talk about that.
I'm going to do that 100 times.
Yeah.
96 of them, they're going to say no, and I'm never going to hear from them again. 4 of them are going to ask me for something. 3 of them are going to take advantage of me, and 1 is going to change my life. It's math. So I need to do it 100 times because then I get to change my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I look at it simply. It was like I got a job selling payroll at ADP, my only job after law school and sports agency. There was a formula to be President's Club. 50 phone calls a day will get you 5 appointments. 5 appointments, you'll close 2 on average. You do that every day, you make President's Club. 55 and 2, 55 and 2, 55 and 2. Okay? So if I call 40 people in a row and they all say no, I know 5 of the next 10 are going to say yes. It's math. I can flip a coin 100 times, heads or tails, 50-50. The first 70 might be heads, but if I do it enough times, it'll even out. So it's math. So I know that if I offer to be of service to everybody, a lot of people are going to say no and ignore me. A lot of people are going to take advantage of me. I don't need a lot to say yes and help me. I need one. One person I can help in some way and that can change my life. Just one. And I don't talk about all the ones that it didn't work out for because it doesn't matter. I don't remember them. I have a lot of athletes that I've made, famous celebrities and athletes that I've made that same gesture towards. Nothing came of it.
Right.
A lot of normal humans I've made that gesture to. Nothing came of it.
Yeah.
A lot of them have said, yeah, and then take advantage of me. Mm-hmm. Fine. There's one right now that's been taking advantage of me for 2 years. And I still let him. And it's a celebrity, a famous human. And I doubt anything's going to ever come of it, but I still say yes every time.
Okay, so that's where I struggle here.
Okay.
Why? If it's very clear that somebody is taking advantage of you when you make that offer. Your time is extremely valuable. You've got so much going on. Why do you continue to do it?
Because how you do anything is how you do everything. It's who I am. I'm going to lead with value and help. And if all of that person thinks of me for the next 5 years is I get to take advantage of him, but then that one day, I don't know if it's today or any time, somebody else goes and says, hey, you know Jeff. They're going to have amazing things to say about me and give me the validation I need to close or get that opportunity with someone else. I want cheerleaders and champions. I need no enemies. My dad used to always say, would you rather be right or would you rather win? I want to win. I don't care if I'm right. I don't care if you take advantage of me. I mean, I do. Please don't. But if you do, be a champion for me.
Yeah.
At least do that, right? And if this individual says, hey, Jeff is a really awesome guy. You know, he helps with all these things and he's never asked me for a dime. Great. You just validated me to somebody else that was looking for validation about me. Because that's what I need. That's how you compound luck. My friends joke, you have Fenster luck. Yeah, I create luck.
Yeah.
I'm not lucky. I'm actually, if mathematically, I don't think I'm lucky at all. I think if you looked at my statistics, you go, shit, you're actually not very lucky. I just don't fish with one fishing pole in the water. If there's 20 on the boat, I'm putting all 20 in the water. If I can put 40 on the boat, I'm putting all 40 on the boat. I'm going to make it to where the fish can't eat except bite my hook. It doesn't mean I'm a good fisherman. It means I'm just going to create luck. That's what I want to do because I want to compound my wins and I want to win and I'm here to do this and I'm here to do it to the best of my ability. So how do I do that? And the fastest way to do that is to lead with value and help other people because by doing that, you get to leverage their network, their opportunities, and that's why opportunities fall in my lap. Air quotes, if you can't see it. But they fall in my lap because I create the environment for them to happen by getting on airplanes 130 days a year and sleeping in hotels and meeting people where I need to and saying yes to opportunities all over the place without knowing what's in it for me.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about what's in it for me. I built my career knowing that if I do my best, I'm remarkable, I show up because the hard part for relationships is not meeting the people. You can go through life, you're going to meet tons of people. It's how do you get them to want to do life and business with you? That's the question, right? If you get rid of all the other shit, how do they, if it's in business, how do I get them to want to do business with me? And if it's life, how do I get them to want to do life with me? Oh, I really want to be friends with that person. I really want to do business with that person. Okay, how? Why? Well, people are attracted to remarkable. That's it. So be remarkable because that's your opportunity. So if I want to do business with a professional athlete and I don't hold myself accountable to being remarkable, well, they're professional athletes, so they do. So they know what a work ethic looks like. They know attention to detail. They made it where almost no one does. So when they meet me and they see how I attack business, how they attack sport, we're the same in our approach. It's just a different vehicle, right? Whether I'm a restaurant or construction, whether you're a professional basketball player or I'm a restaurateur, we both do our craft the same. You want to make the Hall of Fame? So do I. Our Hall of Fame is just different. Same thing in life. If I want to be around certain people, well, what do they do? And if I'm not that person, then they're not going to want to do life with me. So I'm not going to be fake because if it's not who I want to be, I'm not going to be it. But if you meet me and say, you know what? I mean, Jeff's exhausting because, he doesn't ever take his foot off the gas, but he's reliable, dependable, and when he says he's going to do it, he does it. And then you can count on me. Well, guess what? I'm 50, 70% of the way there already. Then it's just the next. And so it's not just meeting the people. That's where everybody fails. They pay a lot of money. They go to these events. They shake hands and meet the individual they really want to meet. And nothing comes of it. I don't do that. I show up, I meet the person, and then I add value and help. It's how I became friends with Gary V and how he's part of Everbowl, how I met Shaq and how he's part of, WeBuilt and Big Chicken. Like it's from that specific intention. I have a plan. I use those names because you know them. I can name people you don't know, but you don't know them. So it doesn't really add value to this conversation. But I use the same approach with you and me.
Yeah, you did.
You reached out to me. I said yes. I said, come on up. We spent some time on the phone. We had just a conversation about business. If I can help, I'm going to help. Here we are, and we're going to build a friendship from this.
Yep.
Now, does that mean that you or me are going to make millions of dollars or incredible? I don't know. I don't care. Maybe, maybe not.
Who knows?
Right. You may be the president of the United States one day. You are out there doing you to the best of your ability, and I'm going to build a relationship with you because I don't care what's in it for me. I want to know you, and I'm going to help. And if you can help me, I want you to help me. And if you can't, you can't, and it's fine. And I don't have a ledger, and I don't keep score. Unless I say that, unless it's intentionally malicious or nefarious, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Or if you're a bad person, I'm not going to do life with you.
Yeah.
But if you're not those things or I don't know that about you, then yeah. I mean, it's not like, I've had people that reach out to me, hey, can you help me consult? And it's like, I helped them. I've never charged them a dime. They're not in a position to pay me. I don't need to make money off of them. I could just help them. Obviously, if you want a ton of my time, then there has to be a business transaction because I'm not a business coach, but there has to be a business transaction.
Yeah.
I'm in business and time is valuable. I can go make money and do other things. I'm taking away from my family and friends and kids.
Right.
So there has to be something. But to help a little bit with some phone calls, that's the easy stuff, man. That's the easy freebies that you should be giving away to everybody because then you become the common denominator. Then you become what everyone's talking about. Oh, God, I love Jeff. I love Jeff. I love Jeff. Then you're doing it right. If who's Jeff, I'm doing it wrong. Or I don't like Jeff. I'm doing it wrong. And you can start that right now. You don't need a college. Again, these are the things you can start today.
Mm-hmm.
You can go into your community tonight and make friends with everybody and just be that amazing human. Make the world a better place.
Man, I mean, the comment you made about not keeping score is powerful. I think there's a fine line there. It is difficult I definitely struggle with it myself, and I know a lot of people do, of when do you stop giving? How do you manage expectations? I think that's the best way to put it. It's a real thing that I continuously try to work on and get better at. And I'm just trying to pick your brain about how
blow up the card. Don't keep score at all. Even if it feels like every day you're helping the same person over, but you have the time, then do it. If you don't have the time, then you say, hey, Chris, I'd love to help, man. I'm super slammed for the next 3 weeks. Can you give me a call on first week of October? Okay, I'll help you again in October. Just put space between the interactions because you're not getting enough value and it's taking too much time, but still help.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know when that opportunity is going to come. You really don't. And if you keep score and you preemptively kill it, you're taking the opportunities away that will just happen. And I know it sounds like I'm saying have faith. It's not faith. It's math. It's a formula. We're all walking through life. You know what I mean? Circumstance and random stuff happens to all of us. We talked about 3 people we mutually know when you sat down, right? Just randomly. We know the same people. It's the first time we met in person, but we know 3 people. So if I went to one of them and says, "Oh my God, I had such a great podcast with Chris. He's an incredible guy," I just added value for you to them. Now I don't know if they're going to help you, but maybe unbeknownst to me, you were trying to do a deal with one of them, and then they hear that and they go, "Oh, Jeff validated Chris. Oh, you know what? I got to call Chris." And then a deal happens, but you don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Right.
Or in 6 months from now, a friend of mine's going to go, "Hey, I saw you were on that Chris Nickel and Dime show." And, he just asked me to do it. Should I do it? Oh, yeah, you should definitely do it. And that's someone you've been trying to get on your show. But they were not going to say yes because they didn't know you yet, but they knew me and saw I was on the show because I posted it on my social media.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know how the dots are going to help. But if you just compound positivity, good actions, and good opportunities, some days you catch fish, some days you don't. If you put 20 rods in the water every single day and I put 1, who's going to win? I'm going to put my money on you. Even if I'm 10 times the better fisherman, 10 times 1 is 10. You have 20 in the water. Yeah. Skills out of you don't need to be better. You're just compounding the behavior and activity that's going to create productive results for yourself. And it sounds like it's fake. It's not fake. I like people. I like the interaction. But yes, there's a formula to it. Yes, there's a science to it. Yes, I have a selfish intention. But everything is selfish.
Yeah.
Even playing with my daughters is selfish. It makes me feel good. That's a selfish feeling. Like, I'm going to be selfish and I'm going to be selfless to be selfish. Fine. That's okay. It doesn't make me less of a person because I'm still helping everybody as best I can. I'm still trying to be a good person. I'm still going out there and trying to promote things that have allowed me to win and share them. Don't give me $1 million to learn the secret. I'm going to tell you the damn secret. Now just apply it.
Really good explanation of that. Thank you for answering that. I'm curious about some of the partnerships that you have with your current main businesses. Let's take Everbowl. I mean, anything else you're working on too. I'm not sure exactly how you're related to people like Drew Brees or Jayson Tatum. Are they? Could you share about how those partnerships, the business partnerships, came to fruition?
Yeah. Which one do you want to talk
about? So what would you say are your 3 people who are most involved in what you're doing in business? Are you able to?
Well, probably the biggest name who is most involved in my business is Drew Brees.
Okay. So let's talk about Drew.
Yeah. He's a 7-figure investor in Everbowl, 7-figure investor in WeBuild. He owns 150 locations of Everbowl as a franchisee. He's a brand ambassador for Everbowl. He's a brand ambassador for WeBuild, and we're friends. So he's pretty involved. He opens doors for me everywhere, for everything, and brings me into investments. We co-invest together on stuff, and I kick his ass in tennis when he lets me.
That's awesome.
Take that, Drew. It came to be because I played in a basketball league with his agent. His agent knew I was with Everbowl. Everbowl was in the community where Drew lives. We had met a few times, Drew and I, but we had no real relationship, and this was like 2018. He was still in the NFL, and we tried to work out a brand ambassador deal while he was in the NFL, and it just didn't work out because he wanted Nike money, and I didn't have it. I'm Everbowl, man. I have, at this time, I had like 8 locations. I'm like, I can't pay you this kind of, sorry. And so we kind of did nothing for 2 years.
But he was just genuinely a fan of Everbowl.
He liked the product.
Yeah.
His kids liked the product. It was near his house, and he was in the NFL, and his agent wanted me to pay him a ton of money to be involved, and I couldn't do it. So nothing came of it. Fine. COVID happened, and he reached out to me and was like, hey, I still really want to get a deal done. He retired from the NFL, and I was like, yeah, I just can't afford you, man. Like, I was being honest. We set up this product called Later Bowls where we were delivering product to people's homes. He sent me pictures of his kids eating our bowls in the house. Like, we just kind of continued the relationship over time. And then finally one day he sends me a message and he says, I want to talk to you. And I said, okay. And he said, you're franchising now. I want to put my money where my mouth is. I've been following this story. I love the brand. I love the product. I love what you're doing. I want to be a franchisee. I want to be a brand ambassador, and I want to be an investor. Well, now you're talking my language. Now you're saying you believe in what we're doing. And so he wrote us a check for a franchise commitment. He wrote us a check as an investor. I gave him equity as a brand ambassador to top it off, which reduced his price per share. And we had a trifecta deal. And he started with 5 stores, then it became 20 stores, then it became 80 stores. Now it's 150 stores. And then when I launched WeBuild and spun it out and needed investors, he was the first person who wanted to invest. And he opens doors for that and makes introductions. And we have an incredible business together.
Yeah, that's incredible. And that, that's another thing that I feel like is a huge part of your early stage strategy when you've started these businesses. And then we'll get into the vertical integration side of this right after. But I just want to touch on the marketing strategy early on and how that's developed as you went from 1 Everbowl to 83 today, right?
Over 90.
Over 90 now.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Well, some of the websites need to be updated. But that is an incredible, amount of scaling in 8 years across the country. And I bet Drew Brees helped a ton early on. A huge jump. But so that's pretty obvious, right? You can get Drew Brees to do some marketing for you, some sponsoring type deals.
He joined in 2021. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, over the last 3 years, he's been instrumental.
Okay, wow. So was it a massive acceleration?
Yes.
After him? Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah. He's got a brand and a reputation and the relationship capital, and he can open doors. So again, relationship capital is everything.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm curious, what would you say are the other channels or methods that are most valuable from a marketing standpoint to grow a franchise brand?
Omnipresence. Be everywhere, do everything. Say yes to every marketing opportunity in every community. Say yes to every speaking opportunity. Say yes to put your brand or your product or your voice or your service in front of as many people as you can all the time, every time.
Mm-hmm. And then how important is knowing your audience as a part of that to know where to go?
Well, it depends what your service is.
Right.
For Everbowl, everyone's my audience, so it's easy, right? Anyone who has money can buy a bowl.
Fair enough.
If I'm spelling a financial product, I need to be in front of financial people. So yes, you got to, but you don't know, everyone has a wife or a husband. Everyone has a brother or a sister or an aunt or an uncle or a friend or a cousin who may be the right person. So what do I care? And also practice your craft on not your audience. Say yes. Mm-hmm. I talk about vertical integration at wedding planning meetings. I do my talk in front of whoever will listen. And if I get nothing from it, I learned, I practiced. I got better at my delivery. I want mastery at everything I do. So if I'm going to spread my message, I need to say it a lot of times. I need to be an elevator pitch. I need to be able to, on a snap, answer your question and know my stuff. Mm-hmm. How do I get that? With practice. So how do I get the practice? I do it in front of people. So who cares who the audience is?
Yeah.
Honestly. Again, I don't quantify opportunity. I say yes to opportunity, and the rest takes care of itself. And could someone say, well, if you optimize it, maybe you would spend a little less time and get the same results? Maybe. That hasn't worked for me. That's a hope strategy. There's an old African proverb that says, every day in Africa, a gazelle wakes up and has to run faster than the slowest lion, or it's going to be eaten. And every day in Africa, a lion has to run faster than the fastest gazelle. I butchered that. Fastest lion, slowest gazelle. Otherwise, it's going to go hungry. So whether you're a gazelle or a lion, when the sun comes up, you better be running. Work your ass off every day. Do everything you can. Put your head on the pillow. Wake up. Do it a little bit better tomorrow. A year from today, watch what you've accomplished. 5 years from today, watch what you've accomplished. 20 years from today, watch what you've accomplished. I mean, it's so easy, it's hard. Like, honestly, so easy, it's hard. It's too simple, so everyone blows it off.
Mm-hmm.
They think it has to be harder, and they go for these complex, ridiculous strategies that they've never worked for me. Get rich quick schemes never worked for me. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, I think it really comes down to the product, what you're serving.
Sure.
And then obviously sometimes you're going to really have to focus on an ICP, but yeah. Okay, well, so as far as vertical integration, this is such a valuable tool, strategy to know when you're in business, and especially if you're somebody who's involved in multiple businesses. And just looking at your most recent main businesses, Everbowl, We Build Stuff, Superfuel Coffee, right?
Yep, Unevolved Products.
Yeah, I mean, they all kind of serve each other.
Yep.
Right. So could you just talk a little bit about how you came up with the idea of creating multiple businesses that can help the others?
Well, I didn't come up with it.
You didn't.
It's very common. The biggest companies in the world do this.
For sure. Or maybe not the concept of vertical integration, but rather your version of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, my version is I can't afford to go buy every company that I can vertically integrate like McDonald's and Costco and Google and Amazon do.
True.
So I have to start them. And it's just not very hard for me to start companies because that's what I do. So I'm going to use my superpower, which is I'm good at starting companies and scaling. I'm going to build them to vertically integrate to support my main thing, whether it is to reduce costs or increase efficiencies or make more money or attract more customers or create more opportunity. But if there's a repeatable problem inside of my main thing that I have to utilize a third-party company for or a third-party service provider for over and over and over again, and I can see a path to creating my own to solve it, and it's going to either increase profitability or decrease costs or increase efficiencies or opportunity, I'm going to do it. And I do it. Sometimes they work. Sometimes they don't. I've started my own distribution company. It didn't work well. I needed such scale and I didn't have it that I shelved it and went back to Cisco. Okay. Didn't work. Yeah, I lost, I don't know, $1.5 million trying. So, sucks. Sucks.
That's a tough,
But I started WeBuild. I built my own Everbowls. I probably saved $3.5 million building my first 28 Everbowls. Win. So net, I'm up $2 million. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But when they work, they outweigh the losses. That's the whole thing. You know what I mean? So it also attracts and allowed me to become a franchise system because I have unevolved products. So I source my own superfoods and we do our own supply chain and we build all the stores and we have all our own SOPs and we do our own marketing with our studio. So when you buy a franchise for Everbowl, you're not just buying a name in Acai Bowl, you're buying an entire system. You're going to get the cheapest build-out cost. You're going to get the best quality and cheapest food product that you know you're getting and sourcing from corporate. We're providing that service. You're getting the marketing. So now my value proposition to sell Everbowls is significantly stronger. So I can sell more Everbowls, and that's why Drew Brees has 150. That's why Jayson Tatum bought 5. That's why Justin Sloan in Texas bought 50 and another 10 in Iowa. You know, there's a reason that they're buying these packages because we are a system. If you just started, Chris's Acai Bowls, well, you're a name on the wall. Now you might have SOPs, and that's why you sell franchise, and that's fine. But I can now compete you because I have a vertically integrated system and machine that I'm going to sell to a franchise.
Right.
So now I'm able to sell better and faster. I can attract better investors. I attract more media because I have all these hits. When I get to those opportunities and a Shaq says no, I don't miss out and have nothing to add value. But now WeBuilt spins out and is now a standalone construction, fabrication, and fulfillment arm. And I work for brands like Capriati's and Wing Zone and Big Chicken and Stretch Zone. And we're now doing these third-party brands, EOS Fitness, and we're able to now generate 8-9 figures of revenue that are unrelated to Everbowl and goes to my shareholders who are my investors, and they're more excited. So now I'm doing my fiduciary responsibility as the CEO of Everbowl to provide increase the enterprise value of my entire organization. Everything is streamlined and more efficient. Yes, there's more problems. Yes, it's more headaches. Yes, it's less sleep. And yes, it's more travel. And if sometimes my wife says, do you really need this more? And my answer is yes, because if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Or I'm not. I'm all in or all out. And that's my path. And that's vertical integration and why.
Well said, man. Yeah, such a valuable concept. And yeah, there's just so much creativity that can come out of that when you start a business. And even on a small scale, you can find a way to vertically integrate, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can do it through partnerships. You don't have to start your own business.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, good point.
I mean, I could say, hey, I'm launching a podcast. You could come to me and say, Jeff, I'm launching my own podcast. I don't have a studio. I'd like to partner with you at your studio. I'll tell you what, I'm going to bring guests. When I bring them here, you can interview them too. So you don't have to worry about finding your own guests. And you know what? If I had trouble finding my own guests, I say, you know what, that's a great trade.
Yeah.
Now you have access to my whole studio and you don't build anything.
Great example.
And now I get to leverage your guest audience. And when you show up to do one, they have to do mine too.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So
Not
now
bad.
I come out of my office and do an interview.
Incredible, man.
Right? Like just off the top of my head. Like that's a partnership vertically integrated because you don't have a studio yet. Or I have a studio and I need guests. I say to you, hey man, let's partner. I need guests. You have tons of great guests. Use my studio. Bring them here. Same.
Yeah, great example. Man, what would you say is we've talked about so many good business concepts and tactics so far, kind of more at a philosophical level. I asked you about some specific stories and you've talked about them. But with where you're at today, I'm interested, what is the next big thing for you?
Well, I'm not done with what I'm doing. Current thing, Everbowl. I don't have a next big thing.
Or next big step, maybe, with this current thing?
My game's not over. I don't get that far ahead of my skis.
Fair enough. Okay.
Outside of my family, be the best dad I can, the best husband, grow my businesses, make friends, have fun. When I'm done, I'll have an answer for you. But until then, I don't spend time in that. That's hope.
Yeah.
That's I don't dream.
I like it.
I don't go to bed and dream. I go to bed and plan. And I wake up and I take action. That's it. And I don't want to even fill my head with those thoughts. Because it takes the mind power, the computer, off of the task at hand.
It goes back to what you said at the beginning when I threw out the 5-year vision and you said, no, way too long. 3 months is what I'm looking at.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing next year. I know when Everbowl, the journey's done with Everbowl and WeBuild and Unevolved Products and Unevolved Concepts and the Jeff Fenster Show and the speaking, I'll find something else to do. Till then, I don't know.
Yeah. I like it. Well, you're living in the present and you're kicking ass while you're doing it.
Trying.
That's cool, man. So your day-to-day right now, give us an idea. You're obviously traveling a lot. You've got your podcast. You're speaking all over the place. You've got all these businesses that you've had hands in, investments, so forth, these relationships. How do you prioritize your time?
Squeaky wheel. Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Really?
Yeah, whatever the issues are gets my attention. Or whatever needs my attention gets my attention.
Just that simple.
Yeah. I mean, I try to attract world-class talent to join me, so I have incredible humans working with me in all my companies. So I have incredible people to lean on to do a lot of the stuff that allows me to go do other things that can grow the company. So I go speak to bring attention to Everbowl and WeBuild in my show, right? The omnipresence. Same thing, just at a bigger scale. Everything, everywhere, all the time. If you have a stage, I want to speak on it. Why? Because I want to meet the audience. I want to build my relationship capital. I want to introduce them to Everbowl. I want to help them learn some of the things I've learned and improve their lives, and who knows what can come of it. Maybe they'll be an Everbowl customer. Maybe they'll be an Everbowl franchisee. Maybe they'll be a WeBuild customer. Maybe they'll be a Jeff Fenster Show listener. Maybe they'll be none of the above, and they'll just be a fan, a friend. Maybe they'll be someone that I look up to and can learn from. I don't know. I don't care. I want the opportunity. I'm in. And if I can't do that because Everbowl needs my attention, I got to say no and focus on Everbowl. Or if WeBuild needs my attention, or Unevolved Concepts, or Unevolved Products, or my show, I do what I need to do at the moment. And I have a schedule that we try to stick to. It's very hard. My schedule always moves because of that. I have a lot of things that can blow up or require my time, including kids and family, but I don't overthink it. The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's one of the most valuable things I've heard is I don't overthink it.
Yeah.
It's one of my issues I've learned.
You got to remember, what you put so much effort and attention to and worry into, 98% of it never materializes. So you're wasting your biggest asset, your computer engine in your head.
Yeah.
Put it on what you want to accomplish. Put it on the goal, because I get so many great ideas that hit my head because I'm thinking about it all the time. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to do in 5 years or 8 years or when I retire. That'll come. I'm focusing on what I'm doing right now and my family and my kids and how to improve and optimize and the challenges at hand and what can I be doing? And because I'm thinking about it in the shower and when I'm driving and when I'm running and when I'm, the ideas it's marinating.
Yeah.
The flavors are coming together and an idea hits. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I have a lot of bad ideas I got to sift through, but I'm keeping the computer running. And too many times people are dreaming, I just want to daydream. Daydream about what? Live your life. This is my life. I don't dream. Plan when you sleep. Think about what you are important to you and what your goals are for tomorrow. What are you trying to accomplish? Put that as the last thought in your head. And when you go to sleep, your brain's going to do what it's going to do, and you're going to wake up and you're like, I'm ready. Let's go.
That's cool. Wow, that's a cool way to think about it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
That's a Kobe Bryant lesson. He used to talk about it. He'd do it so many times in his head before he ever did it on the court. Then he'd do it on the court just as many times. So he's like, yeah, I got this.
And that goes to the power of visualization.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it works. It works. They've done studies. Literally, they've done studies where people are asleep and thinking about it has created muscle memory just like doing it. Like it's fascinating stuff. You can read about it. It's Google it. I mean, it's fascinating. Yeah.
Very cool, man. One question I like to ask at the end with every guest I have on the show is it's a unique one. What is an entrepreneurial life hack that is unique to you that goes against the mainstream belief that you could share? It could be general. It could be specific.
Goes against the main belief. That's a good question. I got to think about what most people believe that are wrong, that I think is wrong. You got to focus on one thing. A lot of people are like, oh, you focus, if you focus on too many things, you do everything poorly. I don't agree. I think you can do a lot of things remarkably well. I think I can be a dad and I can be the best dad in the world, and I can be a husband and be the best husband in the world, and I can be a CEO and be the best CEO in the world, and I can run 5 companies, and I can play football with my friends, and I can go to the gym every single day, and I can do it all to the best of my ability, and I don't have to just choose one thing. Like, I don't understand that. When I'm in it, I'm in it. So for the next hour, if we're playing a game, I'm in the game. When the game's over and now I'm being a dad, I'm a dad. I'm going to do all of them to the best of my ability, but I don't need to be a dad all day, and I can't work hard and go and travel because I have to be there for every dad moment. Well, if that's what's most important to you, then that's great, but you don't have to only do one thing. And I also think it's a mistake to teach your children that. I want my children to achieve everything. And so when I get asked, well, do you think it's right to sacrifice time with them to go do all these things? And my answer is unequivocally yes. Because my kids get quality time with me when I'm home. And when they see me out there doing the best of my ability at what I'm doing and striving for remarkability, I'm teaching them that. Because kids emulate their parents. And I don't want my kids to live a small life. I want my kids to go tackle and challenge the world. And I need to lay the example. I'm their dad. And so I want to show them how to do it. And I want them to do it better than me. Right? Learn from others. So if I can do it this good, then I hope they do it this good. And I'm expanding the Fenster lineage of we're going to accomplish a lot, and we're going to be remarkable at everything we do. No excuses, no bullshit, and don't live nothing small. Why? You get one journey, one pass. Yeah. So that's it.
Really good answer, man.
That's what I got.
I love that. Yeah, so you can have so many things going on, but as long as you're focused on what's in front of you at that time, giving it your all.
Yep.
That's how you...
Like I'm here with you right now. I'm not worrying about what I'm doing when this is over or what I was doing before.
Yeah.
As soon as we're done, I'm on to the next thing. But right now I'm with you. Then I'm on to the next thing. With all my focus, all my effort, all my integrity, energy, passion, emotion. If I have in the back of my head, all these emails I got to write and business stuff, well, then I'm going to give you a half-assed performance. And that's not fair to you. It's not fair to me. I'd rather tell you, sorry, Chris, I can't do it today. Which I had to do yesterday. Right?
Oh, right.
That's why we had to move it to today, because I couldn't do it yesterday and give you what you deserved and what I deserved to do this.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no.
Man, well, this has been amazing, Jeff. And another question I ask everybody at the end, which is almost kind of funny given so much of this conversation was about how powerful your network is. But I do ask each guest live on the podcast, who is one person from your network you think I should interview and have on the show?
A lot of names for you.
Yeah.
I know you like athletes.
Yeah. I'm starting to find a focus in a lot of my guests towards the health, wellness, fitness, professional sports space. So I think I want to try to keep going with that.
Well, I would say Sean Merriman.
Amazing.
He's doing a lot in business, and he's obviously an ex-athlete. Kamara Usman, who is an Everbowl franchisee and investor as well. Good buddy out of Florida. UFC, I know you do a lot in the MMA world, and Sean has Lights Out, and he's got his own MMA league. So those two would be probably pretty good athletes for your show.
Amazing. I mean, Sean was my favorite NFL player as a kid. One of them, him and LT.
When we're done here, we'll call him and we'll see if we can set it up. He's in
That'd
Vegas,
be amazing,
so it's
man.
a quick trip.
And Kamara, of course, just the UFC has become a huge...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thanks so much, man. This has been incredible, and I can't wait to continue watching your journey and learning from you and just building a friendship.
Well, thank you. And same with you and your show. And I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right, Jeff. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining me for this episode of the Nichols and Dimes Show. Please hit the subscribe button on YouTube and follow my Instagram page at Nichols and Dimes. The podcast Instagram page is at Nichols and Dimes Show. And please like any of the videos you come across on either platform and leave a comment, leave feedback. It helps me to improve and innovate and to continue to scale and bring more interesting guests to the Nichols and Dimes Show. Thank you all for the support, and we'll see you next time.